Hey all, and welcome to Shadow Space, and we're commenting on another BCB video. This one is called CNN Anchor Astonished Over Spencer Pratt Skyrocketing in Support as Woke Democrat Mayor Implodes. This is uploaded May 26th, this is being recorded May 27th, and link is in the description.
I'm like, okay.
Who is your political role model?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I mean, that's what.
He was a politician. He had to, he had to go in and.
Are there any modern politicians that you're especially studying or drawn to?
No, I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician.
Yeah.
I want to be a fighter for the people.
Boy. So once again, we got to talk about the best thing that happened to our politics in a long time. Spencer Pratt running for mayor out in LA. Okay, because he is now shocking the mainstream liberal media with his performance and his odds of actually becoming the mayor of LA, which I think are a long shot, but they're certainly better than they were when this race first started, when he first got into the race. And I want to talk about this because, again, I think that this is a roadmap on how Republicans can defeat these Democrats. I think that Spencer Pratt is the perfect example of what Republicans probably should focus on. Core issues. We're talking about quality of life. We're talking about just living in a decent society, not being insane, common sense, being tough on crime. That is the bread and butter of what Republicans should be focused on. That is what Spencer Pratt is focused on, and it's working, okay? And he's doing this in numerous ways, some hilarious ways that Democrats are clearly upset with, Karen Bass is upset with. Like, for example, you have these AI ads, okay, that are being put out, and I gotta tell you, they're pretty funny, and they're also genius at the same time.
There are, I don't know what AI ads he's talking about. There are a lot of AI ads, and some of them are really obviously AI ads, and some of them are really bad.
Same time, because they're leaning into some of the smears that the mainstream liberal media is trying to push against Spencer Pratt, which is that, well, he's MAGA, right? He's a Trump guy, right? While ignoring the actual real issues.
One sec. Okay.
This mayor race is really heating up. Who you guys voting for? Haven't decided? Same, haven't really been following it. Same. I'm
You
not.
can tell it's AI because they don't look shocked or surprised or weirded out. They just blank stares.
MAGA or anything. But the city's kind of gone to shit though, right? Oh yeah. Jessica stepped on a needle at the playground the other
That's
day.
just the other guy?
I'm not MAGA or anything though. I'm not MAGA or anything, but have you been downtown lately? Looks like an episode of The Walking Dead. Not that I'm MAGA or anything though. Spencer Pratt seems like he has some good ideas. Not that I'm MAGA or anything. He does seem really angry all the time though. Well, they did burn his house down. Also, apparently he's staying at the Bel Air Hotel, not the trailer on his property. Well, yeah. They burned his house down. Okay, we're all adults here. How about on 3, we just say who we're voting for? 1, 2, 3. Spencer Pratt. Yeah. Spencer Pratt. Spencer Pratt.
You didn't say it on 3.
Can you imagine if our wives knew?
We're all voting for Spencer Pratt, right? Of course. Obviously. I wish I could vote, like, yesterday.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that, right?
My God.
We're living in a shithole, but I'm not MAGA anything, right? It's so funny. It's so funny because, again, they're trying to smear Spencer Pratt as MAGA, right? That's the attack. The attack is, well, see, he's a Trump guy, right? And I think that Spencer Pratt has done a great job of handling that. Ultimately, at the end of the day, MAGA is not a smear, right? To say that you're MAGA, to say that you openly support the president, that's not a smear. It's not a smear that these people think. But the whole point, really.
Well, it is, though. Look at that previous video that I just did. No, if you are a Republican, according to at least half the country, you are a lesser citizen. You are a second class. You are someone to be looked at with disdain and distrust.
Is to try to motivate these anti-Trump lunatics in these liberal cities to get out and to vote against Spencer Pratt, again, by trying to associate him with Trump, okay? And I think that he's done a great job of, like, not leaning into it, but not leaning away from it, right? He's just kind of like, look, this isn't about, you know, left versus right. It's about common sense versus insanity, right? He's his own guy, and I think that this is working out beautifully. He's also putting out videos where he's doing explainers on how he's going to get stuff done, because according to, you know, liberals, right, in the media, well, he doesn't have any experience. He doesn't have any plans for how he's going to do this and that, right? Despite the fact that, you know, you got Democrats like Karen Bass, who has a ton of quote unquote experience and connections, but that hasn't really resulted.
But in the entire time that she's been in office, she's only been able to decrease homelessness by 17%.
In success. This is why she's in a somewhat competitive race with a guy who is a Hollywood actor, right? Who's a reality TV star.
The number one question that everybody has for
Again, why does that matter? If he were a convicted felon, but he had legitimately good ideas for the city, would it matter that he was a felon?
when they hear my
If someone were to come up with a cure for cancer, but that person was a rapist, would you not allow him to do the research in order to figure out this cure for cancer? Just because you personally didn't like his preference in sexual activity?
plan is, how can we do that, Spencer? We don't have the money. Let me clue you in on a little secret. We have the money. It's just being stolen. You pay countless tax dollars. You're taxed on your income. You're taxed on your gas. You're taxed on your property. You're taxed out every single expensive transaction you endure.
It's okay. I'll say all the naughty words, so he doesn't have to.
Yes, hundreds of restaurants have shut their doors thanks to Karen Bass and Nithya Raman. Businesses are fleeing their terrible leadership, so revenue is decreasing, and I will turn that around. But we have plenty of money in this city. It's just being stolen. Our streets are a mess. Every day, people pop tires. Their suspension is shot, all because our streets are left in utter neglect and disrepair.
Potholes can cause some pretty costly car repairs.
One
Yes, they
pothole
can.
damaged as many as 10 cars.
More than a dozen vehicles damaged, many with blown out tires.
Both of my tires on the passenger side just blew out completely.
And the bent of my rim, I think bent my lower control arm.
Resident Francisco Garcia collected these
might have.
hubcaps, evidence of the overnight damage.
The average cost of a pothole-related car repair is about $600, and it's something 1 in 10 drivers have to deal with.
We have not invested in our infrastructure, and this is the consequences.
Karen Bass, you were in that interview and you were complaining about how before you were only focused on building, you were only focused on infrastructure, and now you've moved away from being focused on infrastructure to being focused on homelessness.
These are beyond
Can't do
just
two things at
potholes that
once?
busted open under the negligence of Karen Bass. These are bass holes. But people ask, how can we fix the bass holes? We don't have the money. We do have the money. It's just being stolen. I met with the truckers who used to do this work for over 100 years for LA, paving our roads until Karen Bass came in.
The city hasn't repaved a single street since last July. They say the city's own data shows 0 miles resurfaced this past fiscal year, and the draft budget proposes 0 miles in the new year.
We're just completely failing at the most basic services at this point, keeping people safe and keeping our streets functional.
They used to do 600 miles of paving before Karen canceled their federal contract. And now the city just does 60 miles of paving. Also, now Karen Bass only does a fraction of the bass hole repairs that they did before her. Why? Well, in her first year as mayor, she stole the $100 million contract that the federal government gave to these truckers and gave the money to NGOs profiting off of the homeless drug addicts. We have the money, it's just being stolen.
Because if that money was given to her for these truckers to fix the roads or whatever, and she didn't use it for that, you're not allowed to do that.
What about public safety?
If that money was earmarked for the roads and she didn't use it for the roads, that's not okay.
Less firefighters today than we had in the 1960s, and yet the population of LA has doubled. But people ask, how can we hire more firefighters? We don't have the money. We do have the money. It's just being stolen. Right now, LAFD engines are so overwhelmed with responding to overdoses and rubbish fires, medicals, and arson fires coming entirely from the addicts on our streets. Because of Karen Bass's policies with the city attorney, LAFD has to send out an ambulance and a Type 1 engine to every overdose, every sprained ankle, every toothache. They are sending those big red trucks that you see fighting fires, all to shove Narcan up a homeless guy's nose.
Yeah, so again, he's just knocking it out of the park, right? He's just knocking it out of the park. One of the best campaigns I've ever seen. Okay, and again,
look at what's George Floyd 2.0.
His chances of becoming mayor starting to skyrocket. Again, we're talking about it being May 26th. Okay, we still have some time. They're gonna do the primary, and then after that, it's gonna be one-on-one between him and Karen Bass. And I honestly think that his chances are gonna go up. I still think that it's a long shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets close to 50%. Right now, at least according to CNN, it's 27% chance of him winning, which again is pretty damn good, right, for a Republican as of right now. So without further ado, let's get into this, because again, Republicans have an advantage over Democrats when it comes to these quality of life issues.
All right, this morning in Los Angeles, a lot of focus on reality TV performer Spencer Pratt, who is running for mayor there. He has big, flashy ads that are getting some attention. So what is the state of the race and what might be driving it? With us now, Chief Data Analyst Harry Enton. So, what are the prediction markets saying about that race and what's changed?
Yeah, I have to admit that in my mind, a friend of mine who is a fan of Pratt, said, oh, he seems to rise. I was really putting it down. But if you look at the prediction markets, you look at the Calcia prediction markets, his chances are up significantly over the last few months. You go back a few months ago, February 26th, he had just a 7% chance. What is that? That's 5 plus 2. Now, it's up like a rock.
That is 7.
Chances are he still won't be the next mayor of Los Angeles.
That's like 20 plus 5 plus 2.
There's a pretty decent chance of it. It's now up over a quarter, a 27% chance. So those who dismiss Pratt's chances, well, you got another thing coming, because he's got a realistic shot of winning this thing.
So he is a Republican.
Yeah, 27% is pretty good. I mean, again, we're talking about before the race becomes a one-on-one race. I mean, you still got the woke Indian woman.
Yeah, I mean,
in the race.
That's really the thing, is this is only to choose the two who are going to go into the final race.
And she gets defeated. Yeah, I mean, his chances are probably going to continue to go up because he's so effective at his message, right? His messaging is a message that anybody with common sense can get on board with, right? And I really do believe that Republicans need to lean into this, okay? Common sense versus insanity. They need to lean heavily into this.
Running there as a Republican, talking a lot about crime. Why might that be a potent issue for a Republican?
Yeah, there has not been a Republican mayor in Los Angeles in the last, 25 years. The last one to win was all the way back in 1997. And you can see it here. Why is it such a potent issue? Because who voters trust more in crime? Oftentimes we put up these graphics, Democrats are leading or Trump was leading, and then Democrats came ahead. But look at this. Who voters trust more in crime? In October of 2024, Trump was trusted more in crime than Kamala Harris by 4 points. Look at the Republican lead right now, though, in the average of polling. Look at this. Republicans nationally are more trusted on crime than Democrats by a 13-point margin. It's one of the few issues in which the Republican advantage, Johnny B, has actually expanded out from what Trump was looking at.
That's because Democrats don't do anything about crime. Granted, Democrats don't really do anything about anything anyways, but they especially don't do anything about crime. You can't sit here and tell me that stealing things up to $1,000 isn't crime, and then say, but I'm tough on crime. No, you're not. You don't even know what crime is, let alone be tough on it.
2 years ago.
Well, I mean, Trump has done a good job when it comes to that issue, right? When you look at what he's doing in D.C., the beautification efforts, right? The efforts to get the homeless off the street, to crack down on, violent crime using the National Guard. Look at what he's doing in Memphis. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is a strong issue for Republicans. Okay, generally speaking, Republicans are more trusted on crime because in cities and municipalities run by Republicans, and I'm not talking about red states with blue cities run by Democrats, because this is always the counter argument, right, from leftists. They'll say, well, the highest murder rates and gun violence is in red states, and I'm like, okay, well, where in red states? And 99.999999999% of the time, it is in some far left blue city in a red state that is run by Democrats, where you have crime and chaos being out of control. So understand that, generally speaking, when Republicans are governing a city, a municipality, you're going to see lower rates of crime, right? You're going to see better quality of life. You're not going to see homeless people everywhere. It's just going to be better. Okay, and I made the argument that
evidenced by some of the people who have moved from these Democrat states to Republican states and talk about how much better it is in these places. If they were these crime-ridden hellholes, like the Democrats assume that they are, then they should be saying that. They should be saying, oh, there's crime everywhere, I don't feel safe going out, ever. I basically have to have security 24/7 because I fear for my life. None of them say that.
Liberal cities were better, right, when they were run by Republicans. New York was better when it was run by Republicans. LA was better when it was run by a Republican. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, if you want to clean up these big liberal cities, electing a Republican or electing Republicans is the way to go, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that the GOP is more trusted, that they're gaining more when it comes to this issue of crime. I mean, Democrats are straight up lying about it, right? In these liberal cities, they're claiming crime is down, right? There's nothing to worry about, right? Even though they're faking the statistics, like, for example, in D.C., straight up faked them, okay? People aren't reporting crime, right? It's just not being reported anymore because it's so much, and police don't even show up. So that's why people don't trust Democrats when it comes to crime, because they lie about it. And when they're not lying about it, they're soft on it.
And it's not just among Republicans, right? I mean, there are Democrats who there's been a shift too.
Yeah, okay. You look at this line, you say, okay, this is national, and it's among the overall electorate. But take a look here. Okay, on crime, you want Dems to move to the center or left or not move. Look at this. Overall, look at this. 62% of voters nationwide say that Democrats should move to the center on crime. But even among Democrats, look at this. It's 49% to 47%. So you see this real movement within the Democrats.
That's still wild, though, right? That's still wild. It's still wild that amongst Democrats, 49%, not even half, want them to move to the center, right? You got 47% that want them to move to the left, right, or not move. I mean, they're already far left. So you have almost half that want the Democrats to be more insane on the issue of crime. It's crazy.
Party, and this is the number one
issue. But it's not, because it's who they are.
The issue more than any other, in which more Democrats say that, in fact, that the party should move to the center, and it's the same what you see for overall.
And there's an interesting divide within the within the Democratic Party here.
Yeah, okay. So you know what? One of the great fault divides right now we see within the Democratic Party is between white college graduates and non-whites with no college degree. And look at this. Democrats, this is among Democrats, want them to be more centrist on crime. Look at this. Non-white, no college, 59%, the clear majority, versus the white college graduates, just 42%, in fact, say they want Democrats to be more centrist on crime. So this is one of these great dividing lines, right, in which those centrist voters of color are feeling one way, at least those without a college degree, while those white college graduates, oftentimes who, of course, a lot of folks would make the argument, hey, they're not the ones who are necessarily feeling the impact of higher crime rates where they exist.
Well, no, see, but the college students think that they're smart enough to solve these problems.
There's real divide within the party. It's going to be very interesting to see out in Los Angeles, especially if there's a runoff, whether or not Pratt tries to play Democrats up against each other.
Oh, well, crime is just a function of poverty and capitalism. So if we get rid of capitalism and we just lift the people out of poverty, then we will eliminate crime. That's how they see it.
Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you seen that, you heard that. Now, is anybody surprised by this? Is anybody surprised that white college voters want the Democrats to be more soft on crime, right? But non-white, non-college voters, aka those who actually experienced the crime, no, they're like, yeah, Democrats, they need to be tougher, right? They're not tough enough. They need to be more centrist on crime. I'm not surprised because, again, the people who don't have to live with it, of course, they're going to sit in that ivory tower and pretend as if they are virtuous because they are advocating for soft on crime policies that they would never tolerate in their own neighborhoods, right? They never tolerate it in their own neighborhoods, but they want it for everybody else. It's just amazing how that works. So, again, what you're seeing here is Spencer Pratt, his chances of winning are going up because he is focused on the key quality of life issues and also the corruption, too. A lot of it is corruption. A lot of it, again, is the nonprofit industrial complex that has a stranglehold over the Democrat Party. Democrats are funneling tax dollars into these nonprofits. These nonprofits are not effective. They have no incentive structure whatsoever to actually solve problems. If anything, they have an incentive to make the problems worse because that's how they continue to get paid. And that's why the problems never get solved, despite the fact that taxes continue to go up. More spending, more budget problems, but there are never any solutions. Things aren't getting better despite the tax dollars that are being spent and collected in order to solve these issues, okay? Because the incentive is not to solve the issue. The incentive is to continue to milk taxpayers for all of our money, okay? While at the same time, making sure these issues never get addressed so that way they can just continue to take money from others and to give to, again, these liberal nonprofits to their budget.
Because I talked about this earlier, where if you solve homelessness, then all of your programs that currently exist to fight homelessness, to solve homelessness, all those go away. All the people that work there, all of the, I mean, just all of the employees, they don't get jobs anymore. They have to find something else to do. Now that these programs exist, they have to continue to be funded because people work them, because people are dependent on this labor in order to sustain themselves, in order to make enough money to live. To get by.
And I think Spencer Pratt is standing up to that system, okay, that has a stranglehold over California, over these liberal cities. And I just think this is a roadmap. At the very least, this is a roadmap for Republicans who are thinking about running in these big liberal cities. I think it's also a roadmap for Republicans at the national level as well, too, to have conversations about quality of life issues like this. Because Republicans are very strong on this, and I think that this is a message that, again, has national appeal. It has broad appeal, and I think that's why Spencer Pratt is skyrocketing. His chances are skyrocketing. I still think it's a long shot, right? But at the same time, the success in and of itself, right? The fact that he is, doing well, okay, considering his situation, right? The disadvantages against him. I think it's something to be said about that. It means that his messaging is good, right? And again, Republicans should pay attention to this and start focusing on these types of issues. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be. He didn't show the betting markets. He didn't show the betting odds. I don't know if those have moved at all, but he seems to be gaining traction. He seems to be somewhat popular. It's really because I think they talked about it in the last video, the idea that people are just going to hunker down. People are just, because I said this also, that people are just going to get in their camps, and with all this redistricting and with all of these attacks against Democrats, people are going to be even more hostile and antagonistic towards Republicans. He also says that he isn't a Republican, but then he also made an ad talking about how they weren't really MAGA, but they were voting for Spencer Pratt. I don't know. I didn't get it. I still feel bad that I said those things in those other video. And I made that dumb George Floyd comment in this one, and I feel bad about that too. So